Because even the okay, so from your news correspondent who is virtually inside the P Diddy trial room, I'm virtually there because every day I'm listening.
Mhm.
But okay, so in the past week, there's been bunch,
Okay.
a bunch of witnesses.
Mm.
So Cassie finished testifying last Friday, and funny enough, P Diddy's trying to subpoena her back
Oh
to
yeah.
retestify, but the judge has actually said no.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
shout
jeez.
out to that judge because I actually think he's being extremely mindful of
Mm.
everything because at the end of the day, it's not really his decision because there is a jury, but you can see that he definitely empathizes towards her situation.
Mhm.
So we've had Cassie who has basically delivered 4 days of testifying,
Jeez.
going back and forth. And I think the last thing she sort of said was like one of the last questions they asked her was, if you could give back all the money that you've gotten off of it
Mm.
to just go back in time and never experience this again, would you? And she was like 100% yes.
Yeah.
That she would definitely change it. So so basically what actually happened with her, and
Mm.
I think she's been working with the FBI for a little bit. That's
Mm.
what I gather because I feel
Really?
like everything just sort of started after her. But what actually happened was she actually emailed P. Diddy basically saying, I have a tell all that I'm going to drop. You can
Mhm.
buy the rights to it. Never going to say anything again. 30 million.
Mm.
Diddy never responded. That's when she took it to civil court.
Mm.
And then when she took it to civil court, he closed it within 24 hours and paid her out 20 million.
Mm.
And then this same video that came out from the Intercontinental, I think that's the name of the hotel, she's suing them for 10 million for having that video and never doing anything about it.
Mm.
And I say she's going to win that because what, the whole world has seen that video. There's no
Mm.
way. So there's people who worked in your hotel who watched a woman get dragged by her hair, didn't
Mm.
call the police, didn't do anything. So one of the people who actually
Do you think with a hotel though, security footage, like I think she might win it because it went to this because it got exposed.
Mhm.
But there's probably a lot of things that
There's a lot,
happen
yeah.
with like even in workplaces, you know, cameras.
Mm.
Like those cameras are for the safety of the buildings and
Mm-hmm.
also like the safety of the employees.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you see like the security sees somebody stealing something, like they cannot, like it's not for that purpose. Do you know what I mean? So like hotels are not designed, they're designed for the safety for the people on the building, but they're not designed for domestics. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's
Or
probably
the
in the
safety.
contract there that we sign when we pay our
Yeah.
deposit. I mean, yeah.
Even speaking of that, funny enough, the security he was working in the hotel that day, he actually didn't see the footage. So he just got a phone call being like, hey, yo, sixth floor, something mad's going on. And that's when he goes upstairs. So he hadn't even seen the footage. So only God knows, there might not have even been anyone in that room at that moment to have seen the footage. But the fact that the footage exists and it was just dropped after she took him to court. And this is exactly why I feel like she may have been talking to FBI before it had even gone to a civil case. Because just the timing of things, because it nearly felt like she is what is ricocheting this thing. It was the minute she started, it hasn't stopped.
Yeah,
So I'm
true.
just like, she has to have known something there.
Yeah.
So as that's something I've liked. Her mom has testified, and this was the only person who has gotten up on that stand where the defense team didn't end up asking questions. So she came up and she told her story, and she basically said that there's been times that Cassie has reached out to her to let her know that Diddy has been abusing her, but one of the times Diddy actually threatened to expose Cassie's nudes and like a sex tape video.
Revenge
and
porn.
revenge porn, exactly, which is like, it's not looking good for him in that case. And her mother had to basically remortgage her house to be able to come up with the money to pay off Diddy. So Diddy asked for $20,000, and that is why the defense probably couldn't say anything, because it doesn't look good. The mom had to remortgage, and all of this stuff would have paperwork.
Yeah, it's paper
So
trail.
there's a paper trail in that, and then she sent Diddy the money, and then I think it was like 2-3 days later, Diddy ended up sending the money back. That's a paper trail. So the defense didn't even bother asking her anything. So that was Cassie's mom. Then we have Cassie's former best friend, Carrie Morgan. So she stopped being friends with Cassie, I think, since 2018. She stopped being friends with Cassie because Diddy actually ended up abusing her as well. And that was the final straw. And they paid her out. So when she hurt herself, I think Cassie and Diddy ended up paying her. And then Cassie gave her more money to keep her quiet. And that was the last time she ever spoke to Cassie, because she said that she had been pleading and begging Cassie to leave, and Cassie wouldn't leave. And she was able to recall so many different encounters where Cassie had been beaten, had been bruised, where there was a pan thrown at her. There was another time they were in a different country. I can't remember. Was it like South Africa or something? So when she was there, she actually ended up being attacked by Diddy, and the two of them had to run outside, and they were waiting outside for ages until Diddy cooled down. So that's another person who was able to testify to say that he had been abusive to Cassie. Then you had this person called Sheree Hayes, which was an escort. And this escort actually worked with like an agency, and that was another person that was able to testify about the sexual encounters that also happened that day. I was also to testify that they have walked in and Cassie being drugged out, like not being in it at all. So once again, does not look good for Diddy. Then you have David James, which is P. Diddy's former assistant. And this person basically detailed a toxic work environment. Yeah, and he was saying that Diddy would make them work long hours. That there was one time this woman worked over 24 hours and passed out from dehydration.
Jeez.
And he apparently joined his staff because he wanted to get into fashion, but he ended up becoming an assistant. And then he spoke about different parties being told to like buy certain things for Diddy that wouldn't be put on their expense sheet. So they would always have the magic word of ketchup, and ketchup would be put on every single expense sheet, but the price for the ketchup and the money you're spending on ketchup were for condoms. So Diddy would always make sure that condoms were never on that sheet, because he was trying to not have a paper trail of those things, but he would send the assistant to always buy it. Same with the baby oil. And then he also said there was times when he was at parties where some of Diddy's guests would go to him and ask him to supply Special K powder,
Banging.
and then the Big K tranquilizer.
Yeah.
So now he's also basically testified to providing drugs for people. And I think he was given a special chart. He was given a special, what's this thing? You know, when
I get it. Yeah, we're like,
he's not going to be charged.
yeah. Like, they give them a deal.
Like, yeah, so he's got a special deal.
Immunity.
Yeah.
There we go. He's got immunity. And then you have Jared Gannon, who is the Department of Homeland Security. Guys, like, this is like, when I say this is one of the biggest court cases of our like centuries, like not many people, it tends to be like criminal lords that get looked for by the FBI, like big drug smugglers, not celebrities. Like Homeland Security had a warrant for his house, and they perfectly timed it, and they waited for Diddy to be on a family holiday, got the big tent, knocked down the gates, went into the house, and the things they found in the house. They found burner phones, like tons of burner phones hidden in shoes. They found tons of stripper heels, like platform heels. They found multitudes of drugs, and they found guns.
Oh, RICO.
Oh, shit.
AKs, AK-15s.
RICO.
They found loaded clips. They also tested all of them, and there was drugs all over them. RICO. So that's why if Diddy gets out of this, it would be a bloody miracle. Then you have Don Richard as well, which was also a former member of Danny Kane, which is part of that TV show that they had. So this is another person who was able to testify working stupid hours, working horrible hours. And she also said that she witnessed Diddy abusing Cassie. Then you also have another male escort who was actually, he admitted to being paid to have sex with Cassie and Diddy. And he admitted that he was also asked to urinate on Cassie. And then he was actually asked specific things like, did you think she enjoyed it? Was there ever any point when these things happened? Did you think that she wanted these things to happen? And he was like, no. It was, so it kind of like contradicts, because sometimes like Diddy may ask her, they might be texting and she might say, oh, I can't wait to have a freak off with you. But here's someone who's actually in those freak offs saying that it never looks like she actually wanted to be there.
But she probably couldn't wait to have those freak offs because she wanted to spend time with him, because she had Stockholm syndrome
100%.
Rather than actually wanting to do those things.
Cassie actually said sometimes she said she would reply because she knew what he wanted. She knew the answer he wanted. And at this stage, if you knew you were going to be beaten She
Yeah.
was most likely going to do exactly what he wanted, so she wouldn't have repercussions after.
But it's like it's okay if Diddy had these desires, but just do them in in a more morally right way. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't have to
Yeah.
bring all these people. There's
Yep.
communities that like are so pro these things, pro kinks, that you could have
People that will
explored
actually
consent and everything.
Yeah.
It's like these things, like he's put such of like a negative connotation on all these things, where it's like there is worlds here that actually like those things, and you could have been part of those communities. Instead, you brought people that didn't want to be in these ways, and it was came from a place of power, and you
Yeah.
abused your power.
Yeah. Like, I think when a lot of people are like saying, oh, but Cassie was in a relationship with him, she was also an employee. She was signed to his label to release 10 albums and only released one. And there's actually been so many videos that have surfaced. There's one that I actually watched yesterday. It was Cassie performing, I think, Me and You on BET. And there was clearly something wrong with her bud. She couldn't hear. So she wasn't singing properly. And he was sat there beside her and he was like, she was sat there, like completely mute. And he was like, yeah, this performance was shit. And like, yeah, it probably wasn't her best performance, but like, yeah, she'll do better. Like, she was sat there the whole time while he was degrading her.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Do you think this, like him getting, like if he does get arrested, it could scare a lot of people in Hollywood, and especially in the music industry. Do you know what I mean? Because like drugs, sex, guns are glorified,
They
and
are glorified.
Yeah.
and it's like what's the boundaries?
Yeah.
I think what I was actually telling Moz the other day was that, like, I think people, because things are done on a small scale doesn't mean they're not being done. So obviously sex trafficking right now. What is sex trafficking actually?
Let's go and find what the actual definition
Because like I
of
feel
sex
like
trafficking
obviously let's say
is.
for example it might not, for example, like, cool, people say that the sin of lying is not the same as having sex with someone, but like under the eyes of the Lord, like they're all the same. Do you get me? So obviously if you look at sex trafficking, right, just because it's not as like big, like the the people that
When
do
we
drugs and all that stuff, there, like it's like a whole like a business and whatnot. Just because it's not that huge doesn't mean it can't be done on a small
Yeah.
scale.
So, sex trafficking is a form of human trafficking involving the use of force, fraud, and coercion to cause a person to engage in commercial sex act against their will. Yeah.
yeah,
Yo,
but I
you ate with
think
that, Demi, girl. Ooh.
I think with the likes of, when we think of horrible things in the world like sex trafficking, SA,
Mm-hmm.
our brain automatically goes to the worst thing in the world,
Mm.
like the most horrific thing. We might not be thinking about like picturing it, but it's like you think, oh, it must have been gruesome, horrible, and it's like, yes, those things happen, but let's give light to things that might not go to that extreme. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't, and that sort of piggybacks off your point. There's so like there's all these things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
They can happen in front of our eyes. They can still be gruesome, even though our mind might not go there first.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Mm.
even like, let's say for example, you know how guys I feel about men lying to get in bed with you.
Yeah, I was just,
It's
girl,
just
you're reading my mind.
taking advantage. Like, it's still taking advantage. I think it's like emotional rape. I think. Sorry, trigger warning. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I
It's
completely.
still like, do you get me? It's still the same thing.
Yeah, because I was like, you're not that far off from what he's doing. You're
Mm-hmm.
coercing someone,
Yeah,
lying to someone to get
for your
there.
own
So it's
benefit.
like, if you're looking at Diddy and you're thinking, oh yeah, he's a big bad guy, sit there and actually think about what your boys are doing, what some of your girls are doing, lying to someone to just get something off of them. You're not
Yeah,
that far off of it. That's the start. That's just how it
yeah.
started.
Yeah.
It just took him years and power to get to the level of what he's doing. But it's just like, it's so bloody insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kid Cudi has been subpoenaed.
Oh
Oh.
yeah.
So Kid Cudi will most likely be testifying.
Sheesh.
Yeah, because his
Everyone,
car got blown up. So
Yeah.
everyone on their mind's
yeah.
gonna be testifying.
Everyone.
Oh, and the worst and the funny thing is, like, a lot of people are like, why is she talking? Why is she talking? It's illegal for you to not testify if you're subpoenaed by the
Yeah,
the state.
you can't plead the fifth though.
You can't. I don't know.
You in America, yeah, you can plead the fifth.
I don't know if it's for federal ones. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, because no one's pled anything. Like, trust me, everyone has the right to plead the fifth. Apparently, I think it's different for federal court.
Really?
I think some of the rules are different.
That's good.
Yeah, because even when you look at the Young Thug case, that was states.
Mm.
So that's even why we're able to watch that. That was federal court. Doesn't get higher than federal court. Like Diddy's fighting the FBI,
Mm.
Homeland Security, like the top dogs of the United States.
Yeah.
Like it's not a small court
You never
case.
know. We could get off on.
And another reason why I think you're not allowed to plead the fifth is when you're subpoenaed, they actually give you an option where you can testify without your identity known.
Oh, that's how
So you don't have to testify with your face. So everyone who's testified with their faces hasn't cared. Like Diddy's ex security guard was there and he was like, yeah, this is a bad guy. Yeah, he's ex security guy.
Bad
Yeah,
guy.
he was like, this is a bad guy. There was someone who actually testified. I don't know who this person was, but I think it was security or someone said it was someone who worked for Diddy, anyways. And he was saying Diddy actually gave out to him one time because he got into it with hotel staff. Like he held a woman's wrist, and P. Diddy was telling him that you should never lay your hands on a woman. So people are like, the irony, he knows what he's doing. He just doesn't care. It's okay for him to bend the rules. And then there was another person, I think the assistant said that when he first started working with him, there was this lady, I think they're trying to get her to testify. There was this lady who works for P. Diddy, and she was like, this is Diddy's world. You're just living in it. Like, that's the type of image that he's given people to make people believe that he's really the top dog. I would be so shocked if he walks away with nothing. I don't think he's going to walk away with anything because apparently with like RICO charges, there's classes to it. So it's not like you murder someone and you get like what 20 years to life. It's like everything they find you guilty for there's like different classes and then it adds more and more years. So RICO is just like the starting thing, and I don't think he's walking out with nothing from the fact that we already have everyone agreeing that he's made working for them so horrible. They've also found that stuff in their house when they raided it. Like it's crazy. Like
I
yeah,
think, yeah, if it gets to the point where he's found guilty, like because it's the FBI, they have, I don't know, he is still probably he's a bigger fish, but he's not the
yeah.
biggest fish.
He's not the biggest fish, and I think it's if he's found, I hope he goes singing and he spills the beans. But this is everything they found in his house during the raid. So they seized an AR-15 rifle, and it had scratch serial numbers on it. And when you have something that's scratch serial number, like that's not traceable. So straight away, that's what I mean. That alone has gotten him in trouble. Loaded magazines. So tons of sex toys, lingerie, 25 bottles of baby oil, 31 bottles of lubricants. Funny, I don't know why it says and a rubber duck. That's a bit weird.
So
A Gucci bag containing substances as in Schnackta,
Fab.
Special K, MDMA, and Xanax. Pills imprinted with the Tesla logo containing MDMA and Xanax. All of that was found in his house.
Yeah.
Like for the FBI to come for you, they have shit.
Yeah, they have
have shit.
stuff, but like, yeah, we just gotta see. I don't think he'll get away with all of it. I think,
No.
but he could get a mistrial. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so big, like it takes so, like
Anything can happen. And
anything can happen.
we're 1 week into trials. Like we're a week and a half. There's still 6.5 weeks to go.
6.5 weeks.
It's an 8-week trial. 8 weeks. Like this court case is not ending until July.
oh my god.
Yeah, and that's if they don't find more. Like court cases can go on for ages
go
depending on what
and
evidence
then
you find.
until they get a verdict. I'd hate to be that jury.
But there's no, and that's the thing. When it comes to like a federal case, you get to go home. So people are listening to everything people are saying online. But this is what a lot of people have been saying in the courtroom is that sometimes when people testify, you hear the jury gasp. Apparently there was a jury member who's already broken down and cried. Someone's already cried. So that's what I'm saying. For him to get away with this, ooh, I really don't.
Bit long still.
And especially the fact that Cassie's mom took that stand and she had to remortgage her house to pay Diddy.
Yeah.
That even goes to show if Cassie was
She's an
afraid,
elder
her
as
mother
well.
was even more afraid
Yeah.
of this man.
Yeah.
I was like, well, anyway, guys, that's enough of Cassie and Diddy. Next week for next week's correspondence of the Diddy
Yeah.
case.
Got me for your meat, like your man. Shawty's in that man when it